So I'm gonna save on a backup slot because that is what I do. So does this lead to Death Gaze? No. Wait, maybe. I think this goes straight into Transkuja, so that's fine. Okay, so my party is my usual party. Now, first and foremost, what do you have to steal? Oh, it's only a pumice piece. Okay. So I don't bother stealing. Got it. So I need to get back to my Chibukuba video game right there. I know it's been a while since I played. You don't need to be mad about it. I fought Quail, but not Ozma. Okay, so where is the air garden? I think it's here. No. I'll find it. It's around here somewheres. Okay, there it is. So yeah, the segment's not gonna be very long. It's just gonna be me attempting Ozma a few times. Okay, it's here. So I want to do my equipping now. The main thing is to have stuff to absorb shadow and otherwise be resistant to stuff. Absorbs holy and shadow, that's good. Going into the wiping city, basically. Okay, so the pumice piece, parentheses, as I have, will work. Ninja gear absorbs shadow. Lowers my defense, but I don't think you do a whole lot with physical attacks. Actually, the magic evasion's good. And the spirit, yeah. So that really matters. Okay. There's water, wind. It raises, which is not terrible. now Robe of Lords. I'll take that. And you can have a pumice piece. That absorbs shadow. Yeah, okay. That's shadow reduced by 50, not good enough. Demon Mill, way too low defense, and the strength drop is kind of something. That's gonna hurt, but I think it'll work out. And you... That raises... That absorbs 2. That's reduced by 100%. That's not terrible. It's theoretically an option. I'd prefer absorb, but like... Okay, so I can give you the other pumice piece instead and give you proper armor. Okay, now abilities. Don't care about steel and clear-headed. Locomotion are both very good. Jelly's really good. I'm mostly looking for status resistance here. Antibody's good. Body temp's good. Insomniac will probably be good, but I think I'm okay without it. Devil Killer I don't think matters. Yeah, those are all good. Auto Life would be good too, but... Insomniac. Bird Killer is a good idea, actually. Eiko just does not have a lot of cool toys to play with. It's like body temp for bird killer, I think. I might regret that later. Okay. Let's go die to Ozma a bunch. Or beat it first try and then, like, have really, really short content, I guess. So this is the super boss. It takes like 7 turns per turn and cheats and just decides you die. And if you don't do all the friendly monster side quest, you can't hit it with physical attacks. It is permanently long range. Probably gonna die, blame the other alliances, exactly. But before that, let's actually play some hot and cold. Yeehaw. Have fun, Koopa. Oh. Dang. Wasting time. Yeah, I have to play. It's obligatory. It's a part of Final Fantasy IX. I have to play hot and cold. Kill the boss, first try. Nice. That's amazing. It's like bonus time and double points. Within 5 seconds and even more double points. Yeah, if it didn't waste so much time going between the things, this would be so much better. Oh no, it was still on the same island, okay. Or up by Ozma. That's fine. Okay. I should be able to just hit continue and load from here, which is why I, you know, did the equipping out there. What's this? Looks like an Eidolon cave. Wait, I feel a strange presence inside. Is it bad? I've never felt anything like it. It's not of this world, but it's not like a ghost either. It feels otherworldly. I see. I don't think you should. Okay. Auto haste is a little bit more important than auto life, but yeah. Wonder what Ozma tastes like. Good, try. Spiritual power, raise the attack range. Death. I just need to hit that 6 times. I did not want to hit auto, whatever. Level 4 hole? Oh, this is gonna suck. I think this will actually hit people. So Doomsday is indiscriminate damage to everybody in play. It's Shadow Elemental, which is why I set up for it. Okay, Zidane negates it. That's not good. It's fast. Faster than you could possibly believe. Now do Flare on Vivi, that would be great. Not what I expected. Curse, there's just not much you can do about it. That's why I have all the status cards to prevent the instant game over. But I just got bad luck. See, the thing about this boss is there's a lot of luck to it. So what does Zidane have? Oh yeah, I should like... Okay, you just have that. That's fair enough. So those two absorb, and those two negate. Curse is just devastating. There's just not much I can do about it. Oh, it missed. Okay. Okay, that hits, but not that hard. You was shocked. Okay, that does a lot. No, not auto. I need to remember it's not the triggers, it's the shoulders. Whatever, it's a loss. That's what I get for not playing this for a while. Seven doesn't even. Fancy. Okay, bird killer's kind of pointless on Steiner. Good to know. Kiraga on self, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine. He actually heals himself a lot, but... I thought I was going to have more deaths. It's gonna be curse. Nope. Reserve. Interesting. You just double turned. I've had things queued up. Now it's cursed. Berserk. On Steiner is okay. Still not ideal, but it's okay. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage to Ozma, but it's some damage and fully heals the party that absorbs Shadow. It also prevents Ozma from using Doomsday offensively. It would be a party wipe if Ozma used it and I didn't absorb it. You just double Kiraga? My guy. Oh wait, no, you cured us. Oh wait, no, I cured us. Wait, no, Ozma cured us. No, that was Eiko, okay. Okay, now you're using Doomsday. This is why I prioritized absorbing or negating shadow damage. For this exact reason. Berserk, that's respectable damage. I should cure that Berserk in Steiner, though. Okay, Holy does, like, no damage. I should just use Eiko to heal. Such a long attack animation for this, too. Let me just show the sheer scale of the attack, and then it does like 3k damage. Kiraga on self, that's fine. That about negates the turn I just did. Some more shocks in. Flare. Someone's dead, probably. About 3,000 damage, yeah. Now we have a quantity of it. I think that kills Vivi. It doesn't. That just doesn't hit very hard at all. More resilient than a world, yep. At least Sidon is negating the Kiragas, or at least mitigating them enough to where they're not actually undoing all of my progress. Which is very nice. There you go, can get him up. Actually, I can also just miss. Nice. Nice, 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 nice! Okay, so for Califisteria, we gotta remember that haircut covers half the arena. There is a visual tell. Hover near the axes or donuts, and the be away from the other ones are point blanks. Don't step on the traps, but beat up the hairs really quickly when people inevitably step on them. Okay. You get the joke. Two Ozma and back achievement get. You get some EXP for that of full-on pumice and Dark Matter and Ozma's card. You're very strong, Koopa. That's amazing, Koopa. I've recorded how I feel right now on the card, Koopa. I'll give you secret info too. Ozma card. Strategy guide. What more bonus, Koopa? Yeah, full heal. Okay. So if you beat Ozma before fighting Hades, Hades remarks on how incredible you are. Or something like that. Free the bosses? Yeah, exactly. Let's open the menu. Koopa! Strategy guide. You must collect cards with triangles pointing in different directions or you can't achieve the highest rank. Grandmaster the First. Now let's take a look at Ozma's card. I thought Ozma was listed as an angel and... I have two Ozma cards, okay. This one is technically stronger, but this one has more arrows, but more arrows doesn't necessarily mean beneficial. But the stats can also level up. I can't decide, so I won't, because I'm not collecting all the cards anyway. Oh, the edge of the arena and turn sideways. What could go wrong? Sloppy. C power better than A power? I'm assuming so if it goes up in hex. Like, I'm assuming hexadecimal here, so slash shrug. I'll walk on foot for a while. Multiple lives, the MJ deciding to cleave the whole raid. Yup. There is literally no reason for Califisteria not to be tank center of the arena. Okay, I could have easily done this during the proper playthrough. And this is what we died to. Exactly. There's one every single Alliance raid tier. Okay, so I actually feel better about leaving FF9 off because this is like properly complete. It's gonna be a really short segment. But that's fine. I gave final thoughts on 9 during the playthrough. I'm like 85% sure. But as much as I love this game, coming back to it casually is probably not going to happen for a while. The next time I play this is probably going to be modded. Yeah, I don't know, like, maybe someday I'll just play this casually when I've, like, retired from content and actually can enjoy video games normally again, like a normal person. But I don't know. It's been nice going back to these. Part of the all the Final Fantasies over time shtick that I'm doing is that not only am I playing a lot of the Final Fantasies casually again, but it's probably also the last time that I play vanilla Final Fantasy, like, super casually. So it's not like saying goodbye to the series, because that sounds really macabre and everything, but like... yeah, it just feels weird to think about that I'm probably not coming back to these, because I have so many other games I want to play. Games that I've either never played before outright, new mods, new hacks, challenge runs of old games. That, like, I spent so much time in middle and high school playing, especially 7, 8, and 9, that I just played them casually over and over again. It feels weird to think about not coming back to them casually, like, anytime soon, just because time. Needs to be it's Solomon continuous story is perfectly fine. I picked a weird spot to land. So there's rumors of a Final Fantasy IX remake, like full-on remake. Square Enix hasn't confirmed it yet, but I kind of saw it all over Kotaku. Technically a couple of months ago is when they were posting about it, but Lila and I were talking about it last night. And like, it would be interesting. I really hope they don't, though. Like, I really hope that's just a rumor, because I don't actually... See, Pixel Remaster was the right way to go. Bring it up in the, like, original style, but updated. Give it the quality of life to make it a lot more accessible to, like, newer fans and whatnot. And, like, you know, keep it as is. This version that I'm playing on Steam is perfectly fine. It's probably my favorite version. It's, like, so easy now to just say definitive versions of Final Fantasy are all on Steam. With the exception of original 7 and 8. Like, you can play them there, but now I can be very lazy and say just play them on Steam. I don't know that I would want this in a full-on remake. Would it be cool? Yeah, I would like to see a Final Fantasy remade as like every Final Fantasy remade is like an ARPG in 3D, like a la 7R. That would be cool as heck. But do I actually want Square Enix to do that? No. Real talk, I kind of don't want, like I want FF7R because it's different. But I wouldn't want that done to 9. I would want, like, a fan remake more than an actual Square Enix licensed official remake, if that makes sense. Like, it would be cool to see what they would do, but I don't know that I want to buy FF9 again. And, like, it's all just rumor. I don't think it was debunked. I definitely was not confirmed. New remake of the original. Look, I'm gonna get Strangers in Paradise, and I'm probably gonna love it for how awful it is, but people are still playing it, so... It's past the 2-week test. Remake on the Atari 2600? No. There is, like, a Final Fantasy 1 ROM hack of FF7 remake, which is pretty neat. I haven't actually played it, but I'm kind of torn though. Like, which Final Fantasy do I go to after all this? I would dip into FF5 to try Omega and Shinryu, but I need to grind, and I don't want to do that on stream right now. As much as it would be nice to capstone, like, literally everything tonight. Okay, so, like, the epilogue of FF9. We got Ozma, like, surprisingly fast. There's not much else I can think of to do in this game because we did a lot. Stealing from Death Guys notwithstanding. It's bad, but not like the Birdemic bad. Yeah. I'm not gonna be playing it for its plot, that's a lie, I absolutely am. But for its potential in terms of lore, and also for mostly its gameplay. Because I said long ago, before Strangers in Paradise was even announced, that I would play a Final Fantasy Souls-like on blind faith. I meant that. I 100% meant that. So in terms of ranking the Final Fantasies, 14 is my favorite video game, like, of all time right now. But if I just count, like, the classics 1 through 10, and also 12, I guess, and 13, 15. Like, if I just count the single-player Final Fantasies, which I guess 14 will soon count for that, but I don't know. Like, just 1 through 10, let's simplify it. Let's just say 1 through 10, because 12 I love but gets weird, and 13 I can defend to a point, but also is probably the weakest mainline Final Fantasy, full stop. FF6 would be like #1 of the first 10. 5 is my second favorite, like, single player Final Fantasy. And then 9, probably. Like, I absolutely adore this game. Okay, providing context on that, Les, there is an image I saw about... Oh, hold on, let me pull up the image, because it's, like, really good. I sent it to Mint. I'll, like, that'll be, like, one of the first things I post in the new Discord. I read that capsicum makes your mouth feel like it's burning because it increases the nerve sensitivity to heat, and menthol works by doing the same thing to cold. So if I eat a habanero pepper and then chew a bunch of breath mints, they'll cancel each other out and I'll be fine. Next post, hey, guess what hellfire tastes like? Someone else. Fun fact, the nerve endings for ouch too hot and ouch too cold are different, which means they can both be activated at once without canceling out. RIP OP. Too big pain for their own good, yeah. They were thinking temperature, but heat and cold are different sensations when it comes to taste, and the nerve endings for them suck. Like, so far, just like, I'm gonna do all the Final Fantasies thing, but it's gonna be in weird order, and I'm gonna be ranking them as I go. #1 is still FF6. 6 PR was absolutely wonderful from start to finish. Recommend that game 10 out of 10. Fantastic. There are some issues, but nothing deal-breaking. And I think the good that 6 PR did outweighs any bad that it could ever have done. Second, it's still 5. It's the most replayable mainline Final Fantasy. And the most replayable Final Fantasy full stop next to Tactics. And yeah, it's still FF5. If I didn't grow up with 6, 5 would probably be my favorite Final Fantasy. It just is like the quintessential Final Fantasy game. In terms of job system and in terms of, like, strategizing and in terms of replayability, I think it's great. Probably 9 is my third. I mean, obviously out of the, like, 3 I've done for this series. Because I still need to do 1 through 4 pixel remaster at some point. And I want to redo 7 and 8, because technically those were challenge runs, and I want to play them with this mindset. Although maybe not 8, because I remember having Neon Lair in chat and in voice at some point to analyze those. To analyze FF8, and I think that was actually really good. So I think 8 might stand on its own. 7, I might actually just, like, I don't know. If I do 8 again, it'll be last. Like, last in chronological order that I play. Just because, like, the playthrough that I did of it was still really good and is on the archive. And I want to replay 10, but I have a casual playthrough of that. I think on the archive, if not, there's gonna be an SG. Although, if 10 doesn't have a casual playthrough, I need to do that at some point. 10 casual playthrough would be for the archive Discord LP, probably. I'm like really getting sidetracked. I'm just like kind of screwing around streaming at this point. I've long since saved like 1,000,000 times. Like with Final Fantasy VI, it wasn't the first one to be plot heavy. Technically 2 was, but 4 refined a lot of the plot heavy stuff. But 6 like kind of really had, like, in my opinion, the first Final Fantasy where its plot was compelling and gripping. Again, my opinion, not saying objectively. It was cohesive. It pulled some stuff that like games hadn't done at that point, not really. The art style is phenomenal, the music will always stick with me, and like the characters are really good. And also, call me biased, I love magic heavy RPGs. But like physical's still viable. And FF5, it doesn't have that much of a plot, a lot of lore but not a whole lot of plot. But it has like the most robust gameplay of like the classic mainline Final Fantasies 1 through 10. And the job system makes it super replayable. Like in terms of challenge runs, fiestas, etc, etc. Whereas 9 has like, it broke the PS1 trend of having really edgy, brooding main characters and a light-hearted, feelsy plot, except, you know, the world kind of gets destroyed very, very slowly. And you watch it, like, happening in scale. Like, you watch these cities and civilizations just crumble to dust in real time. Whereas FF6, you had a year-long time skip. So I think 9 is, like, both the lightest and heaviest Final Fantasy. Like, simultaneously. Like, it does both. And it's rare for a game to do both and do it well. But it did. The moments of levity in FF9 are incredible. But like the really impactful, heavy, sorrowful moments hit it perfectly. So, you know, it's that's why I like it so much. In terms of gameplay, it's good. I like the gameplay. I like the battle system in 9. The biggest criticism I have of 9 and why it might actually sink lower in my list is that it's really slow. You could gear up a Kiraga and find that like half your party's dead by the time it goes off. And the animations are really long. I just like, if you were gonna remake this, it would have to be an ARPG. Because the story is amazing and the cast of characters is very... I wish Amarin also got more time than none and more character arcs than half of one. That was quietly an FF8 preference. I love FF8. I don't know where I would rank it at this time because I haven't played it in a hot minute, like several years. But despite how much hate that game gets, my opinion is objective crowd looking at them. I really, really enjoy FF8. I think it's a good game. Yes, I honestly think it's a good game. It has a good plot, just suffers issues with translation, and Neon Lair knows a lot more than I do on the subject. And I have a wish list of what could be done with FF8, and I could write some what-if stuff. You know, Quistis being a lot more active in the plot would have been a great start. And expanding on lore and Ultimacy and stuff, and maybe even like if there's ever a Final Fantasy that I think should get a sequel in this day and age, I would actually say 8. But not by Square Enix because they can't write sequels. It's very not newbie friendly at all. It's very unintuitive despite how tutorial-y it is. And the battle system is complete jank, but I love it anyway. What now? Die in space? Yeah. I am gonna play it one of these days though, like again. It's just gonna be a while because the playthrough I had well, not recently, but the last playthrough I did on stream, there was a lot of really good analytical discussion going on. And, you know, I hate to just, like, get rid of that for a fresh playthrough. Just to have the same analytical mindset I probably had back then. I don't watch my own content. 7 would be different because I don't have a casual playthrough of it. Just with FF8, it wasn't really that much of a challenge. A remake of FF8, where drop points let you learn a spell permanently and you get MP or whatever. Like, you know, FF8 but done in like a lot more traditional of a format, battle-wise. You can keep the Junction Guardian Force system, just like have them a bit more rigid in terms of what stats they junction and what commands you get out of them. Like, draw is not tied to Guardian Force. Magic, GF, Magic Summon and item are fine. But then, like, each one has its own gimmick to, like, make junctioning them worthwhile. To make builds, so to speak. And not just, I'm gonna keep my level really low and, like, buy a bunch of tents and refine them into Kiragas, but not heal myself and thus have infinite limit break for 75% of the game. Again, I love it. I love it for that. I love being able to break a game like that because I personally find enjoyment out of it. But I think you could do a little better. Squall's Death Theory. I hate it, personally. Mostly because of the origin of the theory. But also, Word of God confirmed that A, it wasn't true, but B, it was very interesting to think about. Which is how I feel about most game theories. Reusing is what happened in FF8, yeah. Well, also there was no need to. Like, the spells were there to be junction fodder. So what you could have are draw points where you draw, like, not actual magic that you would cast, but like towards a stat instead, and they were like permanently consumed. So like you draw, and your party as a whole gains, say, a couple hundred HP from this spot, and it's gone. And you get to another spot and you draw like +2 strength to everybody or something like that. You'd be encouraged to seek out draw points because they would raise your stats. I would also get rid of levels entirely and have like a la Chrono Cross, have boss levels, and that's what scales the difficulty. And just have like draw points be your source of stats, but you like some draw points or bosses teach you like magic, like you just find them. Like Guardian Forces, you just have certain magics. Or the Guardian Forces, like, you know, teach magic but not permanently. Like while Quetzalcoatl's junctioned, like the GFs are the one that get the levels, your characters don't. Your characters get stronger via draw points, and the Guardian Forces get stronger via EXP. And as, say, Quetzalcoatl levels up, you can learn Thunder, Thundara, Thundaga, etc. And while junctioned, you have access to these spells, but also through MP. And the draw points are what gain your character stats, and the GFs level up and get stronger and learn more magic and abilities. Every game theory. Is this Majora's Mask creepypasta true? Like, I like the idea of stocking up a thing. Like, maybe even not draw points are consumed permanently, but like either permanent small stat or like you draw specific like items or something that you would junction to characters to increase their stats that way or something. Like, completely separate magic from the paramagic, in other words. And have magic be the thing that the Guardian Forces imbue onto whoever junctions them and levels with them and bonds with them. Maybe even like a bond level, so it's per character. To where you'd be encouraged to build all 6 characters, especially for the last dungeon. And you wouldn't need to like swap them all out around because like, hey, like a bunch of them can learn healing spells. So that's fine, but you know, you you have, like, Quistis has these, like, 4 rather than everybody has, like, these 12. No, I mean, I'm exaggerating the numbers because there's only, like, 20 Guardian Forces that are junctionable, but still. Like, everybody having 2 or 3 split evenly between 6 party members for a final dungeon with party swap would have been very interesting. Like, I like this idea. So, Tove, why don't you just mod the game, make it yourself, because I can't code. I'm not saying, like, I'm saying it would be a neat idea rather than this is what should exist or what the game should be. But I think it would go a long way to making FF8 a lot less unintuitive and janky. And then, you know, get rid of the whatever translation wholesale because, like, that's not what Squall is actually saying. Get a proper translation, clean up the lore a little bit, clean up the translation, clarify some things, and make Quistis more important. A, because glasses. B, because Squall having a best friend archetype throughout the entire game to also remind him he's not alone outside of Renoa and romance would have been really nice. Doesn't even need to be speedrun. Oh my god. If you know, you know. But that's where I'm at with like FF8 as a whole. There are a lot of things you could do to make it really cool. And the story isn't complete. Like, people who completely dismiss a game as garbage outright without even trying to understand it or even try to look at it, like, with a light that's not cynical. Like, some people are just cynical and that's how they be, and it's like, you know what, fine, whatever, but... Like, I ain't about that. I will try to find ways things could be good and accept the good that exists in something rather than follow an internet hive mind. Game bad, lol. Why is it bad? Because it is, lol. No, give me substance. Let's have discussions instead of just dumping on things. I mean, it's actually hard to understand. It's an issue of its own. Exactly. I agree. Like, if I were to pick up FF8 completely, first playthrough, I've never played it before, I probably would not care for it so much. I grew up with it, though. And during an era where I read a lot of gaming magazines and thus had guides and stuff, and played around with stuff, you know, and had a lot of stuff, you know, given me beforehand, if I were to play it under my current first playthrough streaming rules, it would be a completely different story. I feel like I probably wouldn't like the game very much. Because there's a lot of god dang it involved with FF8. But, like, even so, I can accept that, like, just saying game bad implies there's literally 0 redeeming qualities. And no, I refuse to think that way. I refuse to think that way about a vast majority of the pieces of fiction I come into contact with. Like, any media at all, I will find something good and bad. Because, hey, that's how art works. That's how literally anything works. You can find good or bad in anything, even regardless of whether it's your favorite thing in existence or not your cup of tea. I will look at things critically and analytically. That is my mission statement. That is like my ethos going forward. That is why I call myself an analytical streamer. Because even if I'm raging at something difficult, I'll come back to it later and be like, okay, this is what actually was happening. If there's something in the plot that doesn't make sense, I'll come back to it later and be like, okay, thinking on it, rewatching it, rereading it, reading other comments, getting some context. Now, with hindsight from having beaten the game, I can see this. Something mechanically, like, okay, I didn't know this was a thing. The game told me this was a thing, but it was kind of glanced over, but so mostly my fault. That sort of thing. Seems like if you don't understand the battle system, you're confused, and if you do break the game wide up and get 9 strength, I'm going 255, but yeah. No joke, that is how I play FF8 casually. I stay, like, I don't get higher than level 15. And 15 is excessively high for me. I try to average about level 12, 13 by the end of the game. On average. I get card and card mod really early. I AP grind once I get Diabolos and Siren to get Encounter None in Life Magic Refinery. I ace the Balam test, the seed test, and use the money to buy tents to get myself 100 Kiragas on every character. Why does coffee hate me so? But like I get 100 Kiragas on every character. HP junction, and I junction it, but I don't heal, so everybody's yellow bar. But the thing is, the game doesn't necessarily expect you to have HP magic junction for a very long time, unlike everybody. It sure doesn't expect you to have 3k HP at level 8. So it expects you to have a few hundred, which you can easily survive on. But at 3k max HP, you're constantly in critical, so you qualify for limit breaks. So you can literally just spam limit breaks for like and the game lets you get away with it for like most of it. Because hey, if you're never leveling up because you have encounters turned off, and if your HP is always like really high for your level, ... etc. But it's something I have fun with. But that's why I call myself an analytical variety streamer, because I will like dig deep into something to understand it, whether it's a plot point, gameplay mechanics, or just, you know, opinion in general about a game. I will deep dive into a game and fully understand it before I render judgment upon it. And I'm very, very clear when I say, like, all of this stuff is just my opinion. If people want to be cynical and bash on things, game bad, and not pay it any mind, that's perfectly fine. You are perfectly within your right to not spend time in your day dealing with something or thinking about something. Write it off and never think about it again, fine. Just do me a favor and just don't bring cynicism directly into my chat and try and be objective about it. Being objective about it being the key point there. Don't be objective about your opinion. Like, I'm very clear when I'm very opinionated about something, I'm very clear that it's just me. Even in something like a Mario hack where it's just difficulty, I know that difficulty means different things to different people. What some people find enjoyable and doable and to their playstyle is different from mine. That's because we're different people. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, yeah, that's basically all I wanted to go over. I want to finish out the Final Fantasies, all the classic Final Fantasies, and maybe in all the Final Fantasies. But I'm not gonna like get every obscure version of Crystal Chronicles, every spin-off and sequel to that series. It's why I'm not like decidedly doing in all the Final Fantasies. At some point, maybe someday I will, like just all the Final Fantasies, just like back to back to back to back to back as main games. But I'll have a playlist of all the Final Fantasies on the archive at some point for the ultimate binge watching experience. Zoe plays Final Fantasy Pinball. Oh my god. Yeah, hey, play this discontinued mobile game for all the Final Fantasies. You know, something literally impossible to do. God, I'd have to play through Opera Omnia's plot on stream. Yeah, forget all the Final Fantasies as, like, in terms of every single thing related to or adjacent to Final Fantasy. Because then I'd be playing Final Fantasy Adventure and Final Fantasy Legend and have to play all of those respective spin-off games, which would then turn into all of the Seiken Densetsu and all of the Saga games. Which I should play them anyway, like regardless I should play them. But if I were to do every single Final Fantasy adjacent thing, that would take like a decade. God, can you even imagine? So to close out FF9, let's see if there's like any civilization that has not basically been destroyed or nearly destroyed. Lindblum was rebuilt, but it was attacked and destroyed. Burmecia and Clara were obliterated. Clara very much obliterated. And Alexandria was destroyed. Dali technically is accessible, but yeah, Daguerreo is okay. Thinking on it, yeah. Water plus wisdom was stuck in it. All the gates on the Mistconner. Oh, Treno's fine. Treno never got attacked at all. Treno is perfectly fine. Treno and Dali are okay. But keep in mind, Alexandria is toast. So, like, Dali as like a small farm town that relied a lot on the kingdom for either protection or just stuff in general. Like, they have to get this farm back up and running. But I think they'll survive, but it's going to be rough for this small town right now. And I think any other small settlements, towns, whatever on the Mist Continent would actually be kind of, like, not in the best straits. Like the ones that were under the protectorate of Alexandria, for example. But back in Black Mage Records, it's going to be rough for a while. Yeah. Yeah, they dismantled the farming industry to do Black Mage production because it was better money. Not because they were evil or even under Kuja's influence, they weren't pressured to do it. But it was simply better money. And they were able to have peace of mind for a while, so I don't necessarily fault them for it. This is actually toast, slightly buttered. Yeah, basically. Alexandria will absolutely rebuild, because Lindblum rebuilt. Alexandria will absolutely rebuild, especially, you know, I mean, it did in the credits. It was perfectly fine looking. They even put the sword back on the castle, which is pretty great. Clone de Petit is probably fine, but I count it as civilization disrupted because Aoife tree roots, and also it's below the mist, so I imagine they're probably having it rough. Madain Sari was toast pre, you know, game. Estogaza near Mount Gullug had Mount Gullug open, so monsters were just roaming the city, and also it's Aoife tree blocked. But how the heck did they, like, survive up to this point? Daguerreo is fine. And there weren't any, like, proper settlements on the Forgotten Continent. Unless you count Daguerreo, which I don't because it's not connected landways. Oelbert was just a structure. And Ibsen's castle, well, it just is a creepy castle that exists out here. I imagine, like, decades later, hundreds of years later, someone would find this castle and build a kingdom in this valley. Like, this four is just Memoria. It's Memoria, all the FMVs. Memoria is kind of huge for a dungeon in this game. And the ending FMVs. Not to mention everything else that wasn't closed off. All the Chocobo stuff. Lindblum, Alexandria, Daguerreo. Burmecia. Giza Grotto. Dali. Like, a lot of it was blocked off, but, like, when you, like, Disc 1 gave us Alexandria the town with no world map, although you can theoretically hack your way out and die to a Bandersnatch or something. So we have Alexandria, Evil Forest, which is like a few screens, Ice Cavern, which is a few screens, and none of them are like that big. Dali, which is kind of tiny. Underground Dali, which doesn't have a lot. The cargo ship, which is like 3 screens and a boss fight. And then Lindblum. Lindblum is accessible in every single disc, so I'm kind of like not counting that towards the weight of each disc. And then Giza Grotto and Burmecia, and the opening FFA. Disc 2 had Alexandria in its basement, Clara, Bermesia, Garganru, Treno, Fossil Rue. Like the 2 screens that were the red rows that we got to explore. Konzipati, Mountain Path, Eva Tree, and Medainzari. Disc 3 had Alexandria, the destruction therein. Treno, Lindblom again. The Blue Narcissus. Oh yeah, Disc 2 added Black Mage Village, I almost forgot. Black Mage Village is fine, although existentialism. Discs 2, 3, and 4 all have Black Mage Village, so it's kind of, it like eases some of the weight of Disc 1, I guess, but other than that. Because Disc 1 is literally just the one continent, so the world map is much more simplified. I don't know what would happen if you were to get out onto the world map on Disc 1, like the entire, like, world map. Yeah, Disc 3 adds Alexandria and its destruction, Treno, Kuja's Desert Palace, Oelvert, Ibsen's, the shrines, but they're minuscule, and Terra, which is, like, not that large either, and Pandemonium. Pandemonium is kind of an extensive dungeon, so yeah, I guess Disc 4, I mean, Memoria is pretty big, but thinking on it, now that I've listed out, like, the order of progression in the game, yeah, it is kind of weird they blocked off as much as they did. Like, Disc 4 is beefy, but yeah, thinking on it in terms of everything else on the disc, yeah, maybe not. Like, Memoria is huge. It's a gargantuan dungeon. It's basically 3 dungeons in and of itself, so maybe it does kind of take up an entire disc, considering it also has the ending, but Disc 1 had the opening, but also only a single continent. I mean, granted, you explore most of that continent, but still. But then, like, what would the value have been to, like, go to, say, Kondapati or Estogaza, or any of the gates in Disc 4, other than, wow, the mist came back. Yeah, you know someone in, like, a couple of decades or 100 years or something is gonna find Ibsen's castle on the Forgotten Continent and make a kingdom out of it. In that valley. I could absolutely see that. Because, like, the cycle of souls is no longer disrupted. Necron was destroyed, Kucha was destroyed, Garland is dead. Terra is gone, which sucks, but like, there's nothing stopping Gaia from, like, returning to normal over time. Spawning an artistic culture based around being upside down, yeah, exactly. Because, like, it's near-ish the ocean. Like, if you get out of here, you're basically right on the ocean. If you get out of this valley, you're basically on the ocean. And this big upside-down castle. I can see them, like, fixing it up to make it, like, a lot more accessible. Because RPG heroes can go climbing around, like, a bunch of ladders and stuff, but I can't imagine it would be fun for, like, the day-to-day. So you'd have fish. This is like actually fertile land. You could grow it, and in 100 years, like, life would be returning to the planet. So, like, vegetation would probably grow on 3 out of the 4 remaining continents. I see the lost continents still just being like ice over, but if the people of Gaza could survive on this continent, like completely isolated from the rest of everybody ever, then I'm sure they'll be fine to continue being so. It would be interesting to think about what this world could be like the FF9 world, the amalgamate Gaia Terra, because the planets did merge, I'm pretty sure. Because, like, we went to another planet in its physical location. We didn't, like, travel through space. We went inside of our planet to the other planet. I think the PS1 Final Fantasies are the best for deep diving lore-wise, because they leave so many open-ended questions to not only make what-ifs up, but to be like, wait, what did this actually mean? Because with FF6, everything is basically cut and dry. The game explains basically everything. There's not a whole lot of lingering questions. With FF5, there really aren't any lingering questions. With FF4, we got a sequel. And with 1 through 3, the plot wasn't really that big of a deal. 7 explained a lot, but left a lot of room. 8 and 9 have, like, the wonkiest plots and weirdest questions. Now, 9 is a lot more coherent and cohesive in terms of, like, the actual central story. Like, the start to finish plot. Zidane's story is pretty cut and dry. Like, Zidane and Garnet and, like, everybody else's stories are pretty cut and dry compared to 8. But there's still a lot of bits, like, when Terra and Garland and Kuja's, like, origins and Necron get involved, that's where it, like, gets really, really wonky. And 10 does not have that issue at all. Like, there's some lore stuff, sure, but, like, it's all part of the central plot, so it all gets explained rather cleanly. God, I want to play 10 again. I want to play, like, one of the other Pixel remasters, but, I kind of just want to play 10 again. Okay, so I'm going to close out of FF9 entirely.